All right. I'm Jeff. I'm back. How's it going, everybody? Vinyl collectors, music lovers in general. Jeff back for another episode of exciting new releases and new finds. Alright, maybe I'm over exaggerating some. Anyway, no, I want to give a little recap of what the past couple days, new things that I've picked up. Actually, I want to try to shoot a couple videos tonight, so you may find a couple in succession. I want to do a contest one too. But anyway, we'll start here. Basically, well, let me just start here first. Okay, I got this. This came in the mail yesterday. This is the new Saxon. The Eagle has landed 40th and 40 years live. Now, I recently showed the Saxon box set I had and the Saxon denim and leather. The box set, as I had shown, had a bunch of the live albums, and it had the Eagles Landed 2, Eagles Landed 3. So this is kind of like 40 years. It's got live shots from 2007 all the way through 2018. It is a 3-disc set. Get the right angle. Anyway, it is available in vinyl in a big box set, similar to the box set that I have shown. So Jeff, why didn't you buy it on vinyl? Because it was a lot easier to spit out $15 for a 3 CD set than it was $150 for a, I want to say 5 vinyls, 8 vinyls. And it was 8 vinyl set. It had a lot, and it had a slip mat in there and some backstage passes and some pics. Really cool package. I will be keeping an eye out for it at a cheaper price later in life. But for now, I wanted to go ahead and grab the CD version. So now this one I've shown on Facebook and Instagram already because I was really impressed. Story I if you've watched any of my older videos, some people may be aware. There was a time in my life from 85 to about 95 where I had stopped listening to a lot of mainstream metal, had been focusing my life on listening on my spiritual life, and have been listening mainly and only to Christian metal. So there's a big gap in my metal history between around 85, end of 85 through 95, where a lot of those bands, and it didn't matter in the 90s because most of that stuff in the 90s was the 90s stuff I don't like anyway. But late 80s stuff I kind of missed out on, and have now have gone back in the past years and tried to catch up on that. But it's really hard. Used to be back in the days, you'd buy an album and you just listen to it to death. You'd wear it out. It wasn't like there was so many albums you buy that you were so distracted. Today there's so many bands, so many albums. It's like you get to listen to an album once or twice and you file it away if you're a crazy collector like me and you just got to move on to the next thing. It's hard to memorize. It's hard to get to really know things as well as we used to back in the days when we only had a few albums at a time. So that's really tough to go back and catch up on 10 years of music. So certain bands, and especially when there's certain bands that are not high on the list of bands that you really loved in that time frame, like it wasn't hard to go back and catch up on like what I missed from Motley Crue or what I missed from Kiss, or bands that were like high on my scale, high on the meter of favorite bands. But when it came to bands that I kind of liked or kind of had stuff on and didn't really pay a lot of attention to, it was really tough to go back and catch up with 10 years of music. And that's what happened with the band Raven. I was a medium Raven band fan. I had All For One back in the day. Golly jeepers, I'm not sure if I had a lot of their stuff. So I have a lot of this stuff now digitally, but of course, going back and trying to listen to all of it and pay it attention and stuff has been a little tough to do. So I had this digitally, and I probably gave it a spin or two, maybe mostly through, halfway through. I don't know. I'm not sure if I ever listened to it. Saw this on Discogs. Had it on my want list, I think because Scott mentioned it a couple weeks or months or so ago. He mentioned it and how he revisited it and how great of an album it was. I believe it was him. I know that Metal Ron, is always harping on Raven and how much they're one of his favorite bands. And so I saw this on Discogs. Get this. This is the Is a Back on Black, double disc. Just came out a couple years ago. It's in like, I want to say it's in perfect condition. I did find one spot, actually. The guy said it was in perfect condition. I did find one spot. At the very beginning of the one bonus live track, you can see some scratches on the record, and it pops. Doesn't skip, but it's like pop, pop, pop for like the first minute and a half of that live song. Whatever, live songs, whatever. It was not a big deal. It's not this track on the album. It's just a live bonus track. He was selling this in like pristine condition, $8.99. $8.99. Double vinyl, reissue, 180 gram. He's stupid to pass that up, so I jumped right on it. Boom! I don't remember, shipping was fairly minimal, $4 or $5. Anyway, it was a bargain. I grabbed it. I got it home yesterday or Friday, whenever I posted it on Instagram. I threw it on the turntable. Now, like I said, I've listened to most of these on my digital tracks, but maybe it didn't strike me as just average. I put this on, and I don't know, listening to vinyl is different. I don't want to even go to that discussion, but I was blown away. I played the entire, all four sides, blown away. This just jumped out at me as it was just great. Anyway, I'm loving this album. I'm glad that I had the good fortune to run across that for such a cheap price on Discogs. All right, now, what we got coming up next, we're going to zip through these, is a few that I have. Some of these I picked up today. One of them I'm going to throw in at a different time. But anyway, so I went out today to hit some thrift stores. Most of the thrift stores I go to around here, and they, often, I go to them often, and they have same stuff. I'm hoping for that day when someone with my musical tastes has gotten out of vinyl, or maybe they got a divorce and their wife threw all their vinyl away at Goodwill. I don't know, just some mishap where somebody got out of their vinyl, they don't have it anymore, they took it to Goodwill and gave it. I want to walk into that store one day and find all the music I like, be the first one to find it. But I know that's just a pipe dream. Well, we went out and hit a couple stores today. We had to drop some stuff off too. So went to one that we've never been to. My wife's like, oh yeah, that is a fairly new one. We've never been there. And she said, that's a pretty nice part of town. So maybe they'll have, some good stuff for you. Well, they didn't. It was just the same stuff that you see everywhere. Percy Faith and his orchestra. All the stuff that's like my parents or older would have listened to. A lot of the same old stuff. The Christmas albums, just all that stuff. You know what I'm talking about. The typical orchestrated type stuff. But I did find this, and I was intrigued by it. Anyway, Benny Goodman, Swing into Spring. Now, Benny Goodman, wow, that's not metal. That's not what Jeff listens to. I mentioned this in a video recently. I got another Benny Goodman album more recently too. What is up with that? What's Jeff doing? Well, I've always kind of liked big band. I've never bought a lot of it on vinyl. The thing that I like about these, and the reason I grabbed this, is I'm like, I looked at the back. There's no date. I'm wondering when was this released? I don't really want to buy like a 1989 or 1980 anything that's like a reissue of the Benny Goodman hits from the 80s and 90s. I was looking for stuff that was older, that had been put out longer back. And I opened this up, and there's no date on it. And I opened it, I looked at the label, and it's an older looking Columbia label. Again, there's no date. This I found humorous. Buy the best, buy Texaco. So here's an ad supporting Texaco on here. No date on the album, and the album looks old. It's got tape on it. They took some of that reinforced packing tape with the string in it, and they went all the way around the edges. I'm not going to mind that if it's an older album. I pulled out the vinyl and looked at it, and I'm like, wow, has anybody ever played this? It just looked really clean and shiny. But again, no date, but it looked old. So I went ahead and pulled out my phone and pulled up the Discogs app, did a punch in of the catalog number. Boom, this is a 1958 release. And I thought, wow, that's older than me. So I would have to say this is probably the oldest vinyl I've got in my collection now. In my collection, I do have in my garage a couple albums, a couple of these book albums with a bunch of 78s in them. They belong to my wife's stepfather. and I haven't really went through them, but they're not really what I would consider my collection. But those are older. Anyway, this is probably the oldest I've got in my collection. And I came home a little while ago, threw it on, listened to both sides of it. It was great. It was just great. Story behind Benny Goodman, which I think I told before on the other video, maybe if you missed it. I played clarinet in middle school, whatever, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th grade. Because my father talked me out of playing trumpet, as my best friend was playing trumpet. I thought, I'll play trumpet with you. Nah, you don't want to play trumpet. You know, I had braces, not braces, but bands. I had teeth issues. It's going to hurt your mouth, blah, blah, blah. You should play clarinet like Benny Goodman. Okay, you trust your dad. Hey, yeah, okay, I'll do that. Who's Benny Goodman? Not a clue. I didn't know who Benny Goodman was. My dad didn't listen to a lot of this stuff. He was more country music. But my dad said, play clarinet and be like Benny Goodman. I said, okay. It wasn't until 20 years later, probably, that I got into big band music. Well, yeah, when I was in my 20 years, maybe 15 years after that. And started listening to Benny Goodman and all of those type of guys, Glenn Miller and all that stuff. So going back now, I'm buying a Benny Goodman album or two, and especially the other one I bought was 1960. This is 1958. I don't know, nostalgia, just interesting to have an album that old. And like I say, I listened to it all the way through, both sides, and just loved it. It was just music you could put on and just relax to. It was just soothing. Anyway, which I know is what a lot of this was for. So it's nice to take a break from my metal days and get into that. All right, so now the rest of what I found, part of one of them came in the mail, and part of all the rest of them I got today at a thrift store, are all going to be Christian music, Christian rock, Christian music. So if you are totally not into that, feel free to exit now. I thank you so much for watching this far. If you are into it, here we go. I received One Bad Pig, the Love You to Death album. One Bad Pig was a punk band, is a punk band, Christian punk band that started back in, I don't know, in the 80s. And they put out, let me do this real quick. I got these out. This is the only one I've got on vinyl. They put out a bunch of stuff in the 80s. They're kind of like, pop, punk, Green Day-ish type things. So whatever, you would see like that in the 80s. This is the quintessential One Bad Pig Volume 1. The reason I have this is kind of a best of, but this has tracks from their first EP album and cassette that wasn't, officially, it was a professional release. So it's got some of the demo tracks. So you have to have this. Then they got signed. They released Smash the Guitar. Got the cool little punk pig on there, and the skateboard on there. And the skateboard again, Swine Flu. Dealing with the skateboard culture. Great stuff. These were just fun stuff. Ice Cream Sunday. Ice Cream Sunday. Ice Cream Sunday. They do a cover of Man in Black, Johnny Cash. Great stuff, great stuff, great stuff, great stuff. One Bad Pig live. I have a VHS of this somewhere in the garage. One Bad Pig live at Cornerstone. They released these in the Cornerstone 2000 series. I had a bunch of bands that played at Cornerstone. And then 2000. So that was in 2000. That was pretty much, I think, the end of the band. Fast forward 16 years later, the band says, hey, let's get together and record another album. They do a Kickstarter or one of those campaigns. And I went in and I said, yes, of course I'm going to do that. I have to have this. And at the time, 2016, I wasn't buying vinyl. So I did the Kickstarter program and I got the CD. Wasn't signed or anything. So they did put it on vinyl. And of course, a year and a half later, when I started buying vinyl, I was upset that I didn't buy the vinyl. So I went back, contacted the band, and bought the vinyl. It's all autographed by the band. It's inside the case, I think. There's a guitar pick. Oh, there it is. Came with the guitar pick. Kind of cute. If you can see that. Hard to hold guitar picks, especially when you're not a guitar player. Shaped like a heart. It's got cool little logo it's got the stuff on the front. And it's very pretty in that it is on this pale pink color. Great album, great comeback album. Haven't lost a beat. This is just a really fun, thrilling album. So I'm finally glad to have taken the time to track it down. I ordered mine directly from the band. I know around the time that I contacted the band to find out if they had any more, I said, "Hey, do you have any more of the vinyl?" "Oh yeah, we got them." How much? And so they were available, but they don't sell them online, and they don't have an online thing. I reached out to them through their Facebook page. "Yeah, we can get you one, $25, which is shipped." But shortly after I contacted them to order this, a lot of other dealers, Girder and Boone's Overstock and stuff like that, they grabbed copies and they started selling them too for a little more. But I'd already made contact. I went ahead and sent them the money. There was a confusion there as far as the money getting misplaced or something, but ultimately they mailed it out, and here it finally arrived a couple months later. So now today I went to another thrift store that we had never been to. It's not really a thrift store. I don't even know what it's called. I guess it was a community, I forget the name of it, some little one-off thing. So I went in and didn't have a clue what this place was going to be like. It sounded like a thrift store, but not a name brand like Goodwill. Walked in, they had a little crate of records. I started flipping through them. I found one that looked pretty interesting. It never heard of the band, but they had that 70s rock look to them. Never heard them. I thought, hey, I'll take a chance. Picked it up, and then noticed there was a price tag on it for $19.99. I'm like, I'm not gonna take that kind of a chance. And I'm flipping through, and there are price tags on most of these, and they're all in the teens. Like, what kind of a store is this? And there was only one little milk crate. I thought, oh well. My wife was wandering ahead of me, and she went. The store goes back even further. She went back, and she came back. She said, "Honey, you're gonna want to come back here and spend the rest of your day." So I went by there, and it wasn't that bad. But there were like five rows of records that were about 200 deep, and a lot of them were priced and a lot of them were not priced, and I didn't really find it was kind of like just the same stuff that you see at Goodwill, a lot of the same stuff, operas and stuff like that. Occasionally I ran across one that looked pretty cool. I'm like, I've never heard of this. 1989. He looks like a rocker. He's got this punked out hair. He's got like an Anarchy shirt on there, so he looked kind of maybe like he's punkish. On the back he's playing a guitar, maybe Billy Idolist looking. I don't know. Never heard of him. I thought I'll take a chance. Well, it was $5.99. Maybe I'm not gonna take that big of a chance. I looked him up on Spotify. He wasn't there. I thought I'd left him and I was gonna buy it. I thought, if there's nothing else here, I'll buy this. But I kept going, and then I started running into stuff that I was like, okay, I'm going to buy these. And since I don't know how much these are, I don't want to go all the way to the front of the store, find out that these are $5 a piece. I'm not going to buy the other one. So I put it down. But I picked up some things that I was, glad to find. And Steve Camp, For Every Man. I've never heard this, never had this, never, as far as I know, never been on CD. I have pretty much everything Steve Camp does except the first 3 albums. This is one of the first 3 albums. I do have a digital copy of his first album. I've never heard this one, so this was great. When I opened it, the album was in with the opening in the top, so I thought this is going to be in pretty good condition, and it was. It does need cleaned. I see a couple spots, fingerprints, but excited to get this. Anyway, when I got to the counter, I said, "How much are the records that are not priced?" Oh, she said. She started looking at a list on the counter, and she goes, 99 cents. Ring me up. Steve Camp, For Every Man. This was when was this? I love Steve Camp. I just never heard all this old stuff. 1981. Okay, so see, that's not even really that old. I think I got the stuff I got into him. This came out right before It's a Dying World, which was an only released like overseas, but this came out right before that or around that time. I am excited to dig into this. Mile and Forever Broken Heart, Brand New Start. I want to say this might have been his first album when he came back to being a Christian, because he put out some albums that were more mainstream oriented. His Mylan albums, which one day I'd like to get. I have them digitally. 1982. I want to say this is, the first real Christian comeback album that he did. I've had digital tracks of this for years, decades. So I was really glad to get this, especially for $1. When I popped it open, the vinyl's got a couple scuffs on it, but I'm thinking I'm going to give this a cleaning, and it should clean up really well. Whoa, boom, Mile and Forever, more. This is like the next album or whatever. This is and this one, had the inner sleeve and everything. and I checked it out, and it looked even better than the last one. It looks like it's barely been played. So again, I think I'm missing maybe one or two of Mile and Broken Heart albums now, and they may be hard to find on vinyl. So again, this is not hard rock. Mylan, this is like more AOR, kind of, you know, contemporary pop with edgy rock, with rock on the fringe edges there. Later, when he gets into a couple albums later, he became really electronic rock. Quite a bit more rocky than these albums, but still more on the pop side. But that's the era where I really got into him, really loved him. But going back and listening to these are a little more personal, a little more stripped down. Really good, touching albums. And then this, Keith Green, Prodigal Son. Now, I have everything Keith Green's done on CD. It's not hard. You get the Ministry Years. It's a 2 CD set that's got all of his albums. Had that for 30 years probably. But whenever it came out, I bought it back in the 80s. So now I'm just going back occasionally whenever I find them and picking up his vinyl. I found I want to say 3 or 4 at a Goodwill store when I was in Arizona. So this is another one, the Prodigal Son, that I did not have. It even came with the little book that it came with before. He had like a newsletter that came with it. Kind of like track sheets and stuff. So yes, I said I'm going to grab that. I probably, if I got to the counter and she just said, you know, these are $5 a piece, I probably would have bought them. 99 cents is better. I was hoping for more, around $2 or $3. The Benny Goodman, when I went to the, you know, at Goodwill, it's always seems like it's different. You go there and you're like, how much are these? Sometimes they're like, oh, they're $1. Well, today the Benny Goodman was $2, and sometimes they do say $2. Anyway, so all of that was today. I haven't had a chance to clean them or listen to them. I did listen to Benny Goodman, and I got to get ready for the rest of them. The One Bad Pig, of course, it's brand new, and I ran right through that. It's just a fun album. If you're into that kind of punk, you got to check out One Bad Pig. Those are still available in various places. So anyway, long enough for now. Thanks a lot. I will be back in a little bit with another video, probably a contest entry. But anyway, thanks for watching. Rock on.